Well, hello. How are we doing today? Well, if you're here, that means that you are a part of confirmation for our Saviors and First Lutheran. We do this as a joint confirmation, and I hope that these videos are helpful for you. So today we're just going to go over basic stuff. So I thought we'd start out with why get confirmed? That's kind of the thing that I think a lot of us wonder, right? Well, why are we in this in the first place, right? Well, for many of us, we were baptized when we were infants or when we were really young. And that makes us kind of the norm in most of Christianity. Now, you may know that there are other denominations that only do this when you are fully grown and able to make the decision on your own. And while we're not going to go into why we do that, except for maybe in second year, uh, this is basically because your parents made a promise. They made a promise to God to teach you all of these things that you needed to know. And this is the fulfillment of that promise. So it's mostly to help you down the road in the future. It's to plant that seed so that when you come back to it, when you need your faith the most, it's there. You might not think it's there, but it is there. So this is a rite of passage. So it's not a sacrament, although some denominations do feel it is a sacrament. So the reason why we don't feel it's a sacrament is because Jesus did not institute it, so not everybody has to do it. And there aren't any physical elements to show God's presence. But this is a rite of passage to help you on your own journey. And so when you are a baptized child of God, it's to make sure that you realize that you are a baptized child of God. And so confirmation is to help you to live into what it means to be a child of God and to help realize that the Holy Spirit is there to help you. So I hope that helps a little bit about what confirmation is. We'll go over more of that in the in-person class, but I wanted to make sure that everybody had the opportunity to know about that. And for second years, we are going to go over how this has changed for you in the second year. So let's start with that. So let's go into our overview of our class. So our two classes are basically going to be this. First year is going to be on the Bible. So we're going to go really fast over the Old and the New Testament. And then second year, we're going to go over the Lutheran Catechism. So we call it the Small Catechism. And then we're going to go over Lutheran concepts like grace and two kingdoms and that kind of stuff. And so, unfortunately, because of our time in COVID, we've looked at what the other schools were doing around here. And most for high school age were doing a hybrid model. And so we decided to go with that. So it looks like there's a lot of work. I mean, wow, Pastor Kevin, you doubled the amount of work. I don't think I really did. My intent on these online discussions is not to double the work, but to get through some of the stuff so you do some of it on your own. And while I am requiring that you do the worksheet, the thing is it's not really that hard. Let's see if I can find it. So this is kind of what the worksheet would look like for lesson 1 if you missed it. So you ask 3 questions, and I do not expect you to expand farther than the space given. Okay? So just answer quickly and then turn it in. So it's not as hard as you think it is. So, but remember, this is about your learning. So if you're not going to take it seriously, you're going to shortchange you. This is about how we can help you become a child of God. Well, you already are a child of God, but how to help you realize that you're a child of God. So the ground rules are this. So we have confidentiality in our discussions. So what this means is, yes, you can talk about most of the stuff you learned to everybody else. But if one of the students says something, and says something personal, don't share it. That needs to stay in the in the discussion. And the reason for that is because we're trying to make this space be comfortable for everybody, and nobody wants to be the source of gossip. And so the more that we can stop that, the better. We're doing this really fast and short, so the next one is we need to start on time and we need to end on time. And I know that's going to be hard, but we're going to try our best to do that, and that goes for the in-person classes. So, and then again, we need to try to make all the in-person classes because we have one less class than we did last year. So that means each one of these classes is more important than it was last year. So, but there is grace if you miss. I showed you a worksheet on how to, a worksheet for those that missed the first class for year one already. That was this. So all you have to do then is watch the videos, fill out the sheet, and have it turned in. But your parent needs to tell me in advance, and your parent needs to be aware of how important it is that you come to each one of these. And we will work together, your parents and I, to make sure that you are learning. And that is the most important thing. So if you're learning and you miss and this works for you, well, then I don't think we need to change anything. But, this is a work in progress because I don't think I've ever thought about doing a hybrid class before. So we may change this as we go, depending on how it works for the students. And so now we need to go through the COVID stuff that nobody wants to hear about. Okay, so first of all, nobody likes wearing masks. Let's just put it that way. Nobody likes it. Nobody wants to do it, but our church our church in this case is two churches. It's Our Savior's and First Lutheran, and while they don't have a formal agreement on confirmation, we've agreed to do confirmation together, and so that means that our joint COVID plan that we did together needs to be followed. So for confirmation, most of the rules are we need to wear a mask, we need to spread out. That shouldn't be a problem in First Lutheran's fellowship hall. And we need to wash our hands. And the one that's probably the most important is if you are sick, you need to stay home. And I have two reasons for that. One, if you are even a little sick, you don't know if you have COVID-19, and you could have spread it to everybody. And I know that a lot of people say, well, we don't have that up here. Well, Thief River Falls on Friday when I am recording this is on Saturday, one or more of the bus drivers ended up being positive. And so the entire busing system for Thief River Falls school system is now, it's not available because there aren't enough bus drivers. So it can and it will happen. So we would prefer that we go on the side of caution. So if you're sick, don't come because of that. But more importantly, I think this is one of the things that has changed since all this craziness has started in my mind. You are not going to be ready to learn if you are sick. So if you have a fever, stay home anyway. I mean, you really think you're going to be able to learn if you are not feeling well? No, you're not going to be able to learn. And you'd be probably better off to take the video option. So, and here's another one. We need to be prepared for Zoom meetings just because of what I just mentioned. So we're not immune up here in the north. It's coming up here, but it's coming up very slowly. So the preparation that we're making for this is our format's not going to change, but we may not be meeting in person. We may be meeting over Zoom instead. So let's be prepared for that. So now let's go over the requirements. So there are 14 in-person lessons, and there are 13 short online lessons. And by short, I mean I am hoping that the recordings are going to be maybe 10, 15 minutes. The exception to the rule will be on the first week because there's a lot of information that needs to come out. But I'm going to try to keep it to 10 to 15 minutes. So you'll have a short worksheet that you have to turn in. It basically has like 2 or 3 questions on the lesson, and then at the next in-person lesson, we'll talk about that, and you turn it in. And then these count as attending any of the ones that you missed if I give you one for a worksheet, a makeup worksheet. So then the next one is you're expected to do 3 worship services for helping. So that could be anything that helps with worship service, but the ideas are usher, acolyte, reader, slide operator when we get that ready at First Lutheran. Or if we end up having to go to distance worship again, that would be helping me with part of the distance worship. So like the easiest one would be reading or doing music. So I'm requiring 8 sermon notes. So what that means is that you have to do one for each month. And I'm going to put those in the description here today. I'm going to put a lot of the things I'm talking about in the description of this video. So I really would like you to do them at your own pace, but please don't do them all at once. And we will be doing a service project in May. So what does that mean? Well, that means that I would like us all, both classes, to get together and do a service project. And I know that we might not be able to get everybody together, and I will discuss that with your parents if you can't come, and they can come up with something else that you can do. Now we need to talk about second year students. Okay, so our second year, you are going to be confirmed in November next year. Okay? So around May, we need to start talking about what your favorite verse is, what it means to you, and a little brief thing about your faith. So you're going to be asked to talk about that in the ceremony. Now, we aren't going to make anybody that isn't comfortable in public speaking actually go up and public speak, but I think it's important that you at least be able to write it out. And so that's what we'll be meeting with in private with each of you starting in May next year. And for those of you that think that Jesus wept is good as a verse because it's the shortest verse in the Bible, well, your explanation better be really, really good. And I would expect a much longer explanation than I would for a normal verse. So with all that in mind, I hope to see you guys all in confirmation, and I hope that we can all help each other learn. And remember, a lot of the things that you need, are going to be in the description of this video, and then you can download them and print them out. So I hope to see you in class, and hope to see you guys on Sunday.